Before, thank you for the lovely introduction. Although I can't code to save my life, I was the business head at housing.com and not a product manager. Uh, so, my name is Jyoti Bharadwaj. I run India's first unsweetened beverage brand called TEDxDFBEDU. I'm also a mother to two young boys, and I see that this is an MBA class, right? How many of you want to become entrepreneurs when you graduate? Honest admission. How many of you have thought that I should do something of my own? I should have my own startup. Okay. So no sane person in their sound logical mind should ever want to start up because the hours are brutal, the pay is crap. Sorry for the word. You're poor for a really long time until you hit it big, if you hit it big, and the buck stops with you, which is not always a good thing. If something goes wrong, and which goes wrong on an everyday basis, there are 10 things going wrong, and everything comes and stops with you. It's not a fun job. Yet so many of us want to become entrepreneurs. Why do we want to become entrepreneurs? So I'll decode this today with you and you participate actively. Okay? So my understanding says that there are two kinds of founders, or two kinds of people who kind of get into business. One who spots an opportunity, who says this looks like a white space in the market. I feel like this is where I can make money. And then they jump in, they execute, they kill it, they make a lot of money, they get out. The second kind of founders are the ones who have faced a pain point for a while, like probably Bhavish Agarwal with Ola. Maybe he was really struggling to get a cab for a really long time. And so they have not been able to find a good solution for a problem that's been bugging them for a long time. And then they say, fine, I will do it myself. Those are the kind of founders who, in my understanding, survive the difficult, arduous journey of running a business. Because when times are low, and 90% of the times are tough times in running a business, your larger purpose on why you started this is what keeps you going. I'll give you a little example from my own journey. I started TEDxDFBEDU because I come from a diabetic household. I could never find a good enough beverage. I just stayed away from a beverage aisle. Whenever I would go to a supermarket, I would just stay away from the beverage aisle, knowing fully well that there are drinks only in three categories that are going to be there. Either there will be a host of colas, or there will be a host of energy drinks, or quote-unquote fruit-based beverages. All of them equally jam-packed with sugar. It's when I went to Japan that I understood that not only is it possible to create perfectly flavorful beverage, it's also, in order to create a healthy society, you have to make good products available as easily, you have to make them accessible as easily as a bad product is. So today if somebody says, what's your dream for TEDxDFBEDU? Like, what's that big moonshot? It's not that I want to be a unicorn. It's not that the brand has to be in 500 locations. I just want it to be placed everywhere a can of cola is. Because that's when real choice is given to the customers. That's a little bit about how I started. It's not been an easy ride, especially in CPG, in consumer packaged goods industry. It's very difficult to create a brand from scratch while you bootstrap, but staying true to your story, creating a niche for yourself really helps. In our case, we stuck by the niche of unsweetened. We had so many temptations to do a mango-based beverage, especially after Shark Tank. If we had done a mango-based beverage, we would probably see sales of 10x, 20x. But we continue to stick with our niche that we, by choice, want to be an unsweetened beverage brand. You will never have sugar or a kind of a sweetener in our beverages. So creating a niche and playing a niche helps you to create stickiness in consumers' mind, especially when you're starting out, because you don't have a lot of money to kind of burn on marketing, getting large holdings, doing a lot of ATL. So this repeated sharing of your purpose really helps etch your brand story in your customer's mind. Second, I feel the most critical thing, it's a long game, right? It's very hard to create legacy brands in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years time. So when you step into it, you know that this is going to be for the long haul, which means, and nobody might tell you this, but the most important thing for you to figure out in your personal life is who will you marry. It's very important for boys, but it is critical for girls. If you want to run a business, it's going to be tough. So it's very important that the person you marry is on with your idea. He supports you. He does not get in your way. And more than fundraising, more than going to a great business school, more than any of these determinants, what will determine how you will end up will be the person you marry. So please choose wisely, please marry wisely. Once your personal life is a little bit settled or it's under control, you can really get after the dream because you have the vision, you have the space, you have the focus to really work on it, right? Once you have an idea, the most low-hanging temptation today is to raise funds. That's not a great advice. Most businesses die from raising funds too soon and not knowing what to do with it than not having enough funds with them. So I would say if you have an idea, you should create something with an idea. I go to these student meetups quite often and I hear all the time, man, I have this great idea. Should I go raise an angel investment? That's not a great time, at least that's not how I have come to understand how to build a business. If you have a great idea, it tantamounts to nothing. You should build to a certain scale with that idea. Maybe get your first 100 customers, maybe get your first 10 customers. Like finding someone to pay, to part with the money for what it is that you have built, I think that's the single biggest validation for you as a founder and the kind of confidence it will give you when you move forward with your idea, with your product, with your vision. Nothing else can beat that. So my suggestion to anybody who wants to start up is your first few customers will really change the game for you. That will help you understand product market fit, whether the product that you launched and the price point that you launched, in the flavors that you launched, did you do a good job of it or not? It's called product market fit. And without a decent product market fit, it's very hard to scale a business. Even if you raise funds, you will end up learning nothing, you will end up burning a lot of marketing money. So once you have an idea, build a prototype, however weak it is, however jugadu it is, but it's imperative that you build a prototype with your own money, with your own skin in the game, with your own time. Second, I would say get a few mentors, and by mentors I don't mean, so again, this I get a lot, can you introduce me to Mr. Anupam Mittal or Mr. Aman Gupta? Those are not the kind of mentors you want. You want mentors who are a little bit ahead in the journey. So let's say if you're starting out, you want someone to mentor you who has just completed successfully 12 months in the market, because he or she has faced the problems you're facing very recently. Someone who's running $1 billion enterprise has lost touch with where you are at. They cannot be a good help for you with the problems that you're facing. They're too small and too insignificant for the kind of mentor that you want to go after. So get meaningful mentorship from people who are just a little bit ahead in the game, and that can really, really change what you think was possible, right? That can really open up all the avenues, all the channels that you were not able to see, and big time mentors don't have the time for that. So it'll be good on paper, that, okay, this person is on my board and this person is a mentor, but it translates to nothing. So please get a good mentor. Third, I would say it's a long game. So if you are in it saying 2-3 years I will do this, I'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I have a plan B, I'll get back to consulting or whatever it is. You will probably get back to consulting, is how I have come to understand about life. If you are in it, be in it. Like if you have a backup or if you're just toying with the idea, then it's very hard to toy with an idea long enough for it to be a meaningful legacy business. The chances are very, very small that you will be able to create a lasting business because you were toying with the idea and you said, if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll get back to my dad's business or consulting or whatever other options there are. So if you are in it, you stay in it, you will figure out if it's not option A, it will be option B. If it's not option C, it will be option D. There's so much that you will learn while you're on the job. No amount of MBA can prepare you. Like all the concepts that you study, I did my MBA from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. Very little of what I studied in class actually is useful in business. What's useful in business is relationships in business. What's useful in business is to understand how cash moves in the business, like how much money should you put in the inventory, what should be your payment cycle, what's your receivable cycle. So a lot of understanding you will get if you closely work on your business yourself. Then it's important for you to understand how money moves in the entire value chain, for you to know where you will be able to make money, where you will be able to do cost savings, and how business will reach profitability. And it doesn't happen unless you're doing a lot of the ops yourself initially. So very little of what you study in MBA, I don't know if there are professors sitting here, but is what you will eventually use in business. The last thing that I would want to say is, if you're building a business, you will very rarely end up with the business that you started with. And a lot of us kind of headbutt and we are very married to the idea that this is what I wanted to build, and so this is what I'm going to build. But most times, you are not building the business you're building the business that the customer wants you to build. So it's imperative that you speak to the first 500 customers and you speak to them very regularly. You try and understand what is it that clicks about your brand with them, right? It may be that they hate your first product. It may be that they hate your packaging. I'll give you an example. When I started TFIT, I was doing 500 ml bottles. Like the idea was it's a very light beverage. We wanted to replace all sugary beverages through the day. So we wanted a big enough packing that someone could carry it through the day with them. But what I did miss was that nobody would try out a beverage which was 500 ml to begin with. So my repeats were very high with the 500 ml product, but my trials were really low because nobody wanted to park that much money for a product that they have never tried before, right? So then we listened to our customer. We reduced the bottle size to 300 ml and we suddenly saw the spike in trials, in sales, in new customers, in funnel. And many examples like this. So we currently do instant tea premixes. The idea didn't come from me. The ideas came from the customers that they would love to have the unsweetened experience when they travel and they can't carry these big bottles abroad, the liquid bottles, so why don't we do sachets? We did some hit and run, hidden trial with the sachet. We sent out some samples, they loved it, and then we went into production. So, and that's not the business, that's not the first 5 businesses I thought when I started TFIT that I would be doing sachets. But you have to keep your ears really close to the ground, and the customer will tell you what business you are really in. And so that's one advice. I still talk to my customers every Saturday, half an hour, 45 minutes, I make calls. I still want to know if the DNA that we started with, are we losing that somewhere? Or is it the same experience that they get? Because as a brand, You are not what you keep talking about, what your brand is. You are what, when you leave the room, what other people talk about. That's what brand is, right? And so it's important to, as you grow, then kind of have that DNA and not lose that in pursuit of growth. So we take tremendous amount of pride that in every order that we send out, and we send out thousands now. Like when I started, I was shipping orders, I was packing orders with an intern from my spare room in my home. We used to send out these handwritten letters. My order size has gone 100-fold since then. We still do handwritten letters. Now we have a team of people who write those letters by hand, but we have not given that up because that's just who we are. Like that's our DNA, that's our signature, and we hope to be able to continue to do that as we scale. So there are some things as a brand that you will hold very closely to your heart, and it's important to not lose that in pursuit of scale. That's what defines a brand as a brand. So, decoding entrepreneurships, I will sum it up a little bit. One, know your why. Is this an opportunity that you're after? Is this a purpose that's really close to your heart? Second, decide very carefully on the person that you will want to marry, because that will really determine how your entrepreneurial journey is going to be. Third, don't go after funds before you have a product. Create a product market fit, have some semblance of traction that yes, I've made something that somebody is willing to pay money for. Know that it will be a long, difficult game. Most days will be tough. Most days where things will not go your way. But it will turn out fine. You will gain scale if you keep your ears close to the ground. You are not the business that you think you're in. You are in the business that your customer tells you you're in. So these are the 5 points I had as far as I understand how to decode entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for your time. I hope it was useful.